Thank you for having me here today. I'm Yaron, software architect at SpotIM. And first of all, what do you do at SpotIM? So nothing innovative has happened in the comments area for the past 10 years. If you call it comments and you treat it like comments, then it will stay comments. Now in SpotIM, I have a short live demo. You see here that this is called the ticker. We see now in real time a person typing, and then we open a newsfeed, and you can see 3 people typing at the same time, a comment. And then we can also click on the item on the newsfeed here, and it will take us to the conversation, okay, like this. Now we scroll down a bit. And this is the downside, it calls the conversation area, okay? Think about real-time conversations inside your site, okay? Now, here, this user is typing a comment, okay? Clicking the send, and you see that the user is online, and in a second you will see someone giving an upvote, and this is myself writing a reply to this comment, and here it goes. I say very cool, and in the same time people keep writing, and we have here the sticky, and this is what we do at SpotIM, okay? Think about like a mini social network, but within your site, okay? So the video is over, right? And today I'm going to talk with you about the cool things we do with Redis at SpotIM. Okay, so who in the audience is using Redis? Okay, who is using it for caching? Okay, not only for caching. Okay, as its primary database. Okay. So why Redis? As you all know, Redis is very, very fast. It's of course not only used for caching. It has awesome data structures that can be applied to tons of practical users. And Redis could serve you as your Swiss Army knife, okay? Some points regarding SpotIM usage of Redis. So first of all, Redis is our primary database. We have currently more than 80 production Redis instances. But when I'm saying Redis instances, I'm not talking about nodes, I'm not talking about duplication, okay? I'm talking about actually more than 80 different business things, okay? As you can see, the CPU is not very high. Okay, and our most busy Redis handles like 20,000 requests per second. Okay, and we have launched like 4 months ago, and we already serve roughly 1 billion page views. Okay, when I'm saying page views, I mean rendering a conversation. Okay, our Redis is managed by the awesome company Redis Labs, which, yeah, you can clap your hands, yeah. Besides being an awesome company, they also have their internal in-house features, which is called clustering. So actually, maybe except one database, each one of the 80 databases that I've written is actually a Redis cluster, okay? So think like that we have like 80 Cassandra-like topology. And last and foremost is Redis helps us develop our features way, way faster. And I think that this is the most important thing that I want you to take from this talk, because not each company needs a really to have very high scale, but Redis even if you are a small app, Redis really can cut a lot of the time to market of your features, okay? Your delivery of features can be executed much more faster. So this is the Ruby conference, right? And hopefully most of us know Ruby, at least to some degree. And these are the 4 primary data bricks I see in Ruby, which is strings, hash, array, and integers. While Redis also has 4 primary bricks, which are key value, hash, list, which is sort of an array, and counters, okay? Actually, in Redis, we also use set and sorted set. Yes, sorted set, it's set, but you have the quality operator implemented, okay? We have ordering of the items. In Ruby, we also have sets, but they are used less often. So at the end of the day, we have this, okay? It's very easy to see a similarity between the Ruby bricks and the Redis bricks, right? And okay, we have our primary bricks, which enable us to create abstractions in our software, yeah, which help us to build our software, okay? So we have bricks, which help us create abstractions, which we build upon them the software. Now, in Spot.im, we have developed internally in-house many abstractions over Redis. I will mention some of them briefly. The first one is called the Redis entity. I will show you shortly some live code examples of what is Redis entity. We have an abstraction called Redis token, which is for handling all the credentials, authorization, authentication things. Redis lock is used for very specific cases, which is a distributed lock. We have in Spot.im, like you've seen in demo, an autocomplete, yeah, finding users. So this is on top of this abstraction. We have many event sourcing-like things in Spot.im. Our newsfeed that you've seen is on top of this abstraction, and we also have some recommendation what to show in the newsfeed, which is on top of this abstraction. So all the code is at least now it's not open source, but that's not the point of the talk. The point is to show you that you can build abstractions over Redis. Okay, so when we talk about abstractions, it's very, very crucial to talk about the very famous quotation of George Polsky saying that all abstractions to some degree, all non-trivial abstractions to some degree are leaky, okay? Now, another very important thing is that I want to stress now is that we can be creating the exact same programs out of significantly simpler components, okay? This is a very, very deep sentence. We can be creating the exact same programs out of significantly simpler components. So, in Spot.im, we know that Redis is very useful for building abstractions, and it can help us to build simpler software and deliver shortly features. Now is the live demo code. I will show you Redis entity. This works. You hear me? Okay, so let's open the Vim. And you can't see this? Maybe I need to unplug the.
Turn on mirroring.
Yeah, screen. Thank you. I need. Maybe we can unplug that. No. Okay, so system preferences, yeah, displays, mirroring. Yeah, sure, mirroring. Yeah, okay, so Do you see this? Well, the code, yeah? I can also, now it's better? Kidding. Okay, so let's talk about Redis entity, okay? So think about the ORM done right for Redis, because Redis is not an ORM, so there is no useful reason to really implement an ORM, because Redis is not a relational database. So let's see. The example I've come up here today is actually our conference. Okay, so a conference is actually a collection of talks, right? Each talk has its title, description, speaker, date, type, whether it's a full, yeah, you see, whether it's a full, whether it's a lightning talk, yeah, you see. It also has a duration, right? So this is a talk. A talk as a user, a speaker. The type of users in our example are two, whether you're an attendee or a speaker. And let's move on, okay? So what do we see here? We have fields, okay? Under the scene, all the fields are translated to one blob value in Redis, okay? In other words, it means that fetching a talk can be a partial thing. It's whether you load a talk that exists, or you receive something else, like nil, if it does not exist, okay? Now, by default, we can't allow nil. We want to be explicit when we want to override it. And now let's see some samples, okay? So first of all, you see a little spec that raises if I'm trying to create a talk without a title. And here is how I create a talk. First of all, I can be explicit regarding the ID. I'm assigning to my Redis entity. This is for easier testing. If I wouldn't type the ID, then the framework would generate one for me. So I've chose here my talk, which is Redis for everything. The description is ta-ta-ta-ta. The date is, no, and speaker ID, u_1 is the identifier of the user that of the speaker, which is me. Now, let's also print it. And if you can see, first of all, I see that the entity is persisted to the database, okay? Which is very important. We have the title, we have the description, we have the type, which is a full talk, hopefully, because I think I have no time left already. And I also have some internal attributes. And versioning. 8 minutes? Okay. Now, a user, okay? In my contrived example, I chose that username is a unique thing. So we can't have two users having the same username at the same time, okay, simultaneously in our system. So creating your own with ID u_1 lets me here find him, okay? If the user does not exist, then I have a nil. Trying to create u2 here, you see, u2. When there is already a username u1, it's a race condition, so my framework doesn't let me. Trying to update Yaron to Yaron Wittgenstein, which is actually my full name, it releases the previous one, so I can't find Yaron, but I can find now Yaron Wittgenstein. Okay? How does it look like? Very similar to the talk. I have field, I also have hooks, okay? I want to also, it was on the slide, all the Redis entity code is 100% internal, no dependencies, no active model thing, nothing, okay? Okay, so this is a user. Now let's talk about a conference. So in order to populate our Redis database, before each test, I actually have taken all our conference data, okay? Cool. Now before each test, I'm creating a conference. Okay, this is the idea, I've assigned it. Our subject is Ruby, okay? You see, I have also here created DevOps of food. Food will be coming shortly here. And the date is today. Now, let's move on. We've seen what the fields in Redis entity means, but sometimes I have a lot of fields and I want to fetch only a piece of my entity, right? So, in Redis entity, we have the notion called index. So I can create a conference and only ask for a single piece of it, like name. Or I can only ask for the location, okay, C. But we can also ask for 2 indexes at once, yeah, in one Redis call, because we want to be more performant. So here I ask for the name, I ask for the where, or the location, and I receive these 2 values. Cool. Under the scene, I just need to replace the word field with index, okay? Now, there is another cool thing here, which is called read-only index. So what does it mean, read-only index? Like I said, we have more bricks. We don't only have key value. We have hashes, we have sorted sets, we have more things. So let's say that I want to count the number of attendees in our conference. Or let's say that I want to actually show the IDs of the talks in this conference. So first of all, I'm exposing to the world a very thin method called addTalk, which takes a talk ID and adds it to the sorted set. Okay, this is the sorted set. And this is the sorted set for the attendees. I am adding the talk ID, and I'm using the count now as integer, yeah, the Unix integer time as the score. In the same spirit, I'm using the join that time of the user to the sorted set of the attendees. So what I want to be able to do is this thing, to create a conference, to add it 3 talks, and to be able to use the same very stupid API asking for talks IDs, yeah, for this index, and receiving an array, okay? And how does it, the same goes for the number of attendees. I'm creating 3 users, I'm adding 3 users to the sorted set of users, and I'm asking for the attendees count, and I receive 3. So having read-only index like this opens an extension point for me when I'm doing the fetch, the Redis pipeline fetch, and here I can virtually write any Redis command I want, okay? So this is how the magic happens. Sometimes I want to receive some aggregated data, okay? Cool. So this is the conference. I want to show you something about fetching multiple users. So if I want, for example, to create 2 users, and I want to fetch them at once, then I have the thing we call it multi-load. Okay, so we can fetch 2 users. I can also ask for 2 users, but as an array, like this, okay? And my code is fault tolerant to missing data. So if I'm trying to create only user 1, and I'm trying to multi-load U1 and U2, Redis entity will do the best it can, okay? Cool, so what is an agenda, okay? Let's see what I want to be able to do. I want to render all the data of the conference in one view and return it as a JSON, okay? To the Rails Israel site, for example. What does it take? It takes only 20 lines of code. I'm getting their conference ID. I'm asking for an index, which is also a read-only index. I'm then multi-loading all the talks, yeah, receiving it as an array, taking on my machine only the speaker, then I'm multi-loading the user, asking only for the user name index, and then that's all, okay? Sweet. Now, maybe some of you have noted that I'm using here username as an index, but not as a field. So I can also take a field and index it, okay, like this. Cool? So sometimes I want to take all the blob at once. Sometimes I want only to take some indexes. Cool? Okay. So this is the basic of Redis entity. I want now to return to the original setup here. So it was displays. Yeah? Yeah, you see? Cool. No? Yeah, okay. So what we've seen our ORM, if you call it, whatever. This is our Redis entity. We can load the entity partially or fully. We can do multi-logs. We have hooks, like the read-only indexes, or like active model style hooks, which are like before save, before update, after load, and etc. Now, Do you remember that I showed you in the demo that we have real-time conversation, okay? Spot time is about being real-time. Now, what does it take to render a conversation at spot time? Actually, we have we have more than 12 databases to fetch from, but let's stay with 12, okay? So we have some token we get from the front end, right? A cookie. We need to figure out whether it has the permissions, whether the token hasn't expired or revoked, you know. We need to figure out what are the comments IDs that I need to fetch. Then I need to actually fetch its content. Maybe I want some overall data about the conversation, like the total number of comments in the conversation. Maybe some something else, some other metadata. Each message can be reported. Each message may have upvotes, downvotes, yeah. Each user may be online or offline. We have a little gamification. Each user has a point. Of course, we have the user data, yeah. Its username, display name. User may have even a conversation-specific data, which is a past activity. For example, I'm returning to a conversation I've already ranked a message. The UI shows me the blue marking. Okay, you get the point. So we are now in 2015, and we can't talk about an architecture without mentioning microservices, right? So if we would go with the academic microservice, we would probably have something like this, right? And we all know that it's not very performant, right? All the latency, all the ping pongs, we can't be real time like that. So this rendering a conversation in spot IM takes now only 4 months after launching less than 50 milliseconds. Now, if we drill down, we can see that like more than 40% of the time is actually Ruby code, and we all know that Ruby is not the fastest language out there. We also have currently no concurrency. Yeah, we have also plannings to refactor our code to program it in a concurrent way, maybe in Elixir. Okay, sorry. But again, rendering all this thing in less than 50 milliseconds, it's not bad for a beginning. So academic microservices are not practical when we really want real time. Now, what the father of object-oriented LN cases? He says that objects communicate by sending and receiving messages, right? So practical microservices is about having objects communicate, yeah, communicating by sending and receiving messages. So Redis entity are our SpotM microservices, and instead of having this, in real life we have many Redises and we have many Redis entities, and we fetch them all at the same location. Now, we also have ways for handling all the Redises, because we have tons of Redises and we keep adding Redises. I not enough time to show you, but if someone want to see it later, I can show them a sample of how we manage the configuration of multi-Redises. Here are some architecture guidelines I can give you. If you go for Redis for everything, yeah, unless you're a bank, try to use a Redis database for each time you use a relational database, if you use a relational database. Try to avoid locks, okay? Don't try to, as much as you can, besides some exceptional cases, like having a distributed lock, okay? Redis pipeline is your best friend, sorry. Redis pipeline is your best friend. And all data integrity issues are handled by self-healing architecture, okay? Think about it, that you have background agents all the time trying to look for for problems and fixing it. Here are a few coding guidelines. I don't have enough time for them now. My CTO, Isha Green, forced me to add this because he couldn't be with us today. So our backend code is more than 20,000 lines of code. Roughly half of it is test. We have more than 15 isolated deployed services. Of course, I don't want to use the term microservices, but I'm talking about actually, services. And we have sort of like 100 internal gems. I have developed all of these by myself in 10 months. And we are looking for a single developer to join my team, which is me. 1 sec?
In lunch.
Okay. So if you are interested to join my team, then please send Ishai, my CTO, email. And for summary, we can be creating the exact same programs out of significantly simpler components. Redis could serve as your Swiss Army knife. It has worked for us. Thank you.